Hello, friends. Hi, my name is Elise. If you are unfamiliar with that, hi, Maury. Sorry, that was aggressive. Hello. This is going to be our Rewind Book Club discussion for Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. I always mess up that cover. I struggle with English. Is it Discover or Discovers? Hello again. But yeah, if we just want to go around and introduce ourselves. My name is Elise. This is my channel, The Petite Punk. Yeah.
Do you want to go first?
My name is Kira. I have the channel, The Book Bella. Thanks for having me, Elise.
Of course.
And I'm Andy. I'm over at Oh Hey Andy on Twitter and on YouTube. And this is my first Rewind Book Club live show. I'm so excited.
Kira and Andy, this is both of their first times joining us, and I'm very excited. They are both lovely people. If you want to check them out, I have their YouTube, their YouTube channels and Twitter usernames down below. I hope I remember to do that. I think I did. Hello. My voice just cracked like a 12-year-old boy. Hi. So yeah, we are going to be discussing, like I said, Ari and Dante. I listened to the audiobook and found out at least the dude who narrated pronounces it Ari, so awkward. It's the Hamilton.
Yeah, that guy.
Sorry, clearly I don't know anything.
I have mixed feelings about Lin-Manuel Miranda as an entity.
Hi, Maury. Maury is also a co-host. She could not make it today. Well, I don't think she read the book because, yeah, but that's okay. Not to call you out, Maury, on the live show. Andy and Kira are wonderful people. But yeah, as I was saying before I lost my brain cells, we're going to be discussing this. This is a book that I really enjoyed, but we're also going to be discussing some of the criticisms for it because there's definitely some points that have not aged well, as most of the books in this book club are like, because, yeah, I think this is from 2014. I lied, 2012, and things have definitely changed by then. So, yeah, we're going to go through that. Who is Lynn the Hamilton dude?
Yeah, Lin-Manuel Miranda is the Hamilton guy.
Do you like him? No, we don't like him?
No, I don't.
Okay, boo, we're not, whatever his name is, Stan. Okay. So yeah, if we just want to go around and say what we rated it, this is my 4th time reading it. I've rated it 5 stars all 4 times. I listened to the audiobook the last time, and I still gave it 5 stars, but I will admit, I liked the physical book more than the audiobook because I don't know if anyone watching has read the book, but it's written in a very poetic way, and I just feel like that was kind of lost in the audiobook. But yeah.
This time around I decided not to rate it. I didn't put it on any of my accounts, so Goodreads or Storygraph. And I just decided not to rate it this time around, mainly because I feel weird rereading it with the context of the new book coming out. Okay. And I just all of my previous ratings had been 5 stars. I will say that. I loved this book a lot.
Do you know how many times you've read it?
Yeah, I've read it 4 or 5 times previously. I think it was a yearly reread for me at one point.
Yeah, great. And then Kira frozen. I think Kira might be.
No.
Oh no.
The struggles of life.
Kira's frozen on your side too, right?
Mm-hmm. It is not just you.
Well, Kira is unstuck. Oh,
okay.
Kira got bored of us. I'm kidding. Well, everyone, just give me a hot second to log onto Twitter in case she said anything.
Okay, cool.
But Andy, while I'm doing that, do you have any, well, I guess not initial thoughts since this isn't your first time reading it, but any general thoughts?
Maybe it's that phenomenon that I can't remember off the top of my head where once you have something in your head, you see it all the time. So if you're consciously thinking about yellow cars, you'll see yellow cars everywhere. But really or maybe it's because the TikTok algorithm is listening in, but I've seen so many TikToks recommending this book in conjunction with the movie Luca that just came out on Disney.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They're like, if you like
I'm gonna watch
Luca,
that
you'll like
tonight.
this book.
I'm watching that tonight then.
Yeah. Yeah. So my initial, post-initial thoughts, I should say.
Posted. That might not be initial thoughts then,
Yeah.
but yeah.
My 16th time, sixth time reading this book. I felt a lot of sadness because, again, once you learn about the problematic content of something, it's very hard to divorce or separate that from your love for the book. So I just felt like a lot of sadness, and part of it was me kicking myself over it, you should have known better, you should have recognized how problematic this was, but at the same time I was I didn't know any better, but now I'm smarter and I know a little bit more than I did previously. So that's how I feel about the book right now. Just kind of.
That was very well said. I pretty much felt the same. This is a book I read it not when it came out, but not soon after it came out, probably when I was 13 or 14, and I'm 20 now. But yeah, I read it first. If you haven't read the book, if you're just watching for funsies, but the book has a lot of feelings of loneliness and feeling lost and figuring everything out, and that really appealed to me when I was in middle school. And then I read it again when I just needed a book like that, and then I read it again when I needed a book like that. And this fourth time that I read it, I just read it because it was our book club pick, not because I needed something like that, and because it was just a different context I was reading it in, and also because I was just more aware of the problematic content in this book. I just, like you said, Andy, I just kind of felt sad reading it because it just, I don't know. I wish I picked up on that. I mean, to be fair, it's not like I noticed things like that when I was younger in such a prominent light, but yeah, it's kind of disappointing. I wrote a very ranty review because I just feel like it would have been such an easy detail not to include. It wouldn't have changed the book at all, but yeah. And Kara, I know you were frozen. We were just saying our ratings and just initial thoughts. Anything like that?
Yeah. So this is my first time reading the book. I've been wanting to read this book for a very long time. And when you have that in your mind, that it's going to be this amazing thing, because everybody's raving about it, it becomes almost mythic. I'm still trying to process all of my emotions towards it, because there is a lot to mull over. It felt very fast paced for what it was. And it felt like I could actually feel the passage of time as I was reading it, and the development of the characters. So I ended up giving it a 4 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it, though. Like I said, I had it in my mind that it was going to be something a little bit different, which is why I think that it didn't quite get to the 5-star, but maybe in a reread or something, I would be able to attain that 5-star. I still have so many emotions that I'm working through for it. And I mean, the rating could potentially go up from where I have it right now, but right now I'm feeling 4 stars about it.
I get that.
Excellent. What were you expecting, out of curiosity?
It's funny, I'm not really sure what I was expecting, but I don't know. I guess I have a thing for anything that has to do with the universe and stars and stuff. And I wanted more of the philosophical star references. I guess that's what I really wanted from it. And I didn't we got some of that, but I feel there should have been more of that.
That's actually a really good point. I like that.
Yeah. I didn't think about that. I was just yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. I feel for a lot of people, or at least what I've seen in reviews, it's not I'm in everyone's head, but he just jumped on air. Someone else talk while I chat.
Oh, geez. Oh, God. She's gone.
Oh, that was such unfortunate timing. My eyes are watering. Wow. Speaking of the universe, they did not want me to say the point I was about to make. Woo! What was I saying? Okay. So for what I've seen on reviews is, I think the writing style is shocking to a lot of people because it's just very unrealistic, very flowery and poetic. And at least for me, oh my gosh, I'm about to choke again on air. At least for me, every time I read this book, the first half of the book takes me forever to get through just because I have to get used to that writing style. And then the second half, I fly through and love every bit. But it's just very different than most YA contemporaries.
Yeah, I feel that. I feel like the first
Definitely.
half of the book is quite slow and like very slow paced, and then like as soon as you get to like the back end, it's like, all right, and we are moving on. Like, it doesn't give you time to process like the emotions that you have in like the last half.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, like in a way.
Although,
Oh, keep going. Go
um,
ahead.
I liked how we had time to see them away from each other, because like it allowed like them to kind of get into like their own like field and kind of explore themselves like a little bit more before like they reintroduced to this relationship to see like where they were at the other end of these experiences.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Also, I totally agree with this. I love poetic writing and slower paced books. They take me a while to get into, but I love them. If anyone has any recommendations for books like this, feel free to drop them. Although I'm sure I could log onto TikTok and find that everywhere. But yeah, one thing, I have such mixed feelings about the sequel because of what I've seen versus like what in my mind I've been really wanting since I was like 13 when I read this. But if I end up reading the sequel, I'm really hoping we see more of, I guess, Ari and Dante in their adolescence because I really liked the beginning when they were younger. I feel like that really set up the story, and you get to see like those long feelings of, you know, loneliness and figuring out feelings. But also, I just love the awkwardness of teen what's your teen year, your teen years. I just love books that explore like the awkwardness of your teen years and figuring everything out in that transition from childhood to adulthood. That's just like always my favorite thing. I guess coming of age is the word for that. But yeah, that's what I'd be looking forward to if I end up reading that.
I think it takes place like after like when they're about to go off to college, so I don't know. I don't know if we're getting that. As for me in the sequel, like me reading the sequel in the future, it's a 50-50 shot. I might wait it out and see like what other trans reviewers have to say about it, because like you said, I've been seeing incredibly mixed reviews, both from cis reviewers and from trans reviewers. I've seen from trans reviewers saying like it is transphobic, and then people saying it's not like that. So I'm definitely going to see what is going to be said about it, because I don't think I could personally put myself through that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so iffy. I'm saying this as a cis reader, so please keep that in mind. I am definitely going to be reading reviews of this beforehand. I haven't like pre-ordered it or anything because I've just been so on the fence about it. But I feel like there's just this very iffy line between the author projecting his own views through the characters and also him representing that time period as if it was a million years ago. I think it was like the 90s. But yeah, I just realistically, I feel like maybe that like a discussion of addressing the way that they spoke about that incident was maybe kind of realistic for that decade. But like also, I don't know, it's just so.
That is actually how I interpreted the scene where like they use the word. I'm not going to say it because I don't want to. When I first read it, I interpreted as teenage boy in the 80s with no access to like the internet, with no connections to the queer community outside of his one friend, using a term he's heard other people say before. That's how I interpreted it. However, like once you like hear about like the stuff that's going on with the second book and how people are interpreting the second book, it recontextualizes everything and makes it, at least in my opinion, feel a lot more transphobic.
Yeah. Like, again, I would like to read it and like to read more reviews to actually see before I have strong opinions on it, but
Yeah, there was it reminded me kind of like when you said like contextualized, like because of the time era. If I remember right, there was like right at the beginning of Stephen King's It, there was an assault scene on somebody who was gay.
Mm-hmm.
And that was, I believe, published in 1986, if I remember right. So I feel like those scenes like are very common, like back like in the like late 80s, early 90s, like literature.
Yeah.
Which is not acceptable, but you know.
I do have a weird question about this book because I brought this up with a friend of mine as to whether or not how we would classify this book as, because it takes place, I believe, within like the late 70s, if not early 80s. Is this considered historical fiction?
I call this genre like historical fiction contemporary, but I feel like it's more contemporary. I don't know. Like sometimes I'll read books that like for example, about like the AIDS crisis, and I'm like, I guess that's technically a historical event, but also now I'm starting to feel old if we're calling that historical fiction. Not that I was alive during that era. Again, I was born in the 2000s, but like it doesn't seem like it was that far away, so I'm not sure. Yeah. It could go either way. I feel like it depends on how old you are.
Because I mentioned it to a friend who was born in the 80s, and I was like, yeah, this is like a historical fiction book. She's like, it's not historical.
This is what sorry, I didn't pin the comment. I'm sitting here talking passionately. This is what I was thinking. I feel like if the author just addressed it, it would fix so many things. Because not that I would love it to make sense in this era, but it does make sense in this era. That's one thing. But if the author just said, hey, I've been seeing people's reviews and everything, and I just wanted to address blah, 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 it just would fix a lot of things. But yeah.
But will that ever happen? Who knows?
I just am very disappointed because clearly this is one of my favorite books. I don't usually mark books, but this book I had everything. And there was also another unfortunate accident with this author where like there was a teen reviewer, like I think she was like 16 or 17, and in a different book of his there was a scene about sexual assault, I think. And I guess in her review, which she posted to Goodreads, she didn't tag the author or anything, she basically said like things were not represented rights, or I don't know, something along the lines of that. And the author went out of his way to email her and say like your review is wrong. And she was like a kid.
Ooh, yeah, that's a no.
Does anyone else want to write a new favorite book for me? But same.
This is why you never meet your heroes.
I know.
I was always let you down.
That's
oh God.
I had this like weird moment. I feel like this is the second time I brought up Harry Potter in this live show thing, but not to bring up Harry Potter again, but I never kind of related to the feelings people were feeling when the whole Harry Potter drama was coming out, because I didn't read the books. I read like a couple of the books, but it was nothing I was attached to. So I was just like, yeah, clearly let's block JKR. I mean, I don't know why you are still reading this. Clearly she is a bad person. And I still feel like that. I'm not going to read her books, but like I didn't really understand that attachment people are going through about like their favorite childhood book. All of a sudden this is who the author is. I am understanding it now.
Like, I already paid money for this. Like,
but yeah, we're not all negative today. Yeah. Anyone have anything they really enjoyed about this book? Because I know Andy and I both have said it's one of our favorite books, and I know Kira said she gave it 4 stars. So, any favorites? Any highlights?
Not gonna lie, I do like the sections where like Ari is sick and he's like talking with his dad, and it's like the first time his dad shows him like any real tenderness, like his entire childhood. And I was like, oh wow, that'll hit a little too close to home. Cool. just need a father, man. I also like where he's like, I'm tired of chicken soup. I'm tired of it. Please, let me be a teenager. Let me be well again.
Ari's a very negative, pessimistic annoying main character, which is why I love him. Because like, hashtag same.
I feel that. I feel that.
I
also
liked
really
the
Sorry, here, I think.
Yeah,
I
you
really
go.
liked. Sorry. I really liked how they highlighted the post-traumatic stress of the father, and his time in the war, like, and how it. Because I've actually I'm starting to dig into it's called the how the trauma affects the body and everything, and I'm like digging
Mhm.
into that more, and it's talking about how some people never come home from war, like they're just always stuck perpetually in that state. And the accuracy with which that was represented in there, and his disconnect from a lot of things, I felt like that was so well done.
Agreed.
It was so well done.
I really love books that can explore so many different types of relationships. Like we had the friendship aspect here, the very confused romantic feelings, and we had the relationships with the parents. And I really liked that we saw the difference between how, oh my gosh, I always forget who's who. Ari, how Ari perceives his relationship with his parents, and then how he perceives his relationship with Dante's parents. I just love how Ari has parents that are supportive, but he also has a second family. Like Dante's family has basically adopted him, and I
vice
love
versa.
so much.
Words.
Oh,
I
hold on.
lost my train of thought.
Oh, that is me every time.
Moving on.
Here's a comment.
He did it. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. I feel like this time around, because for the first 3 times I read it for that relationship between Ari and Dante, and I'm not saying relationship necessarily in a romantic context, just the way that they treat each other and how they perceive feelings and everything. But I feel like this last time I've read it, it's the parental relationships that I've really appreciated reading about. And yeah, I just thought they were really interesting, and it was something I could relate to.
I feel like a lot of people don't talk a lot about Dante's relationship with his own parents and how almost idealistic it is, but in the best possible way. It does feel a little bit at least in my opinion, I've never really met parents like that.
Mm-hmm.
Read into that how you will. But I it feels a little bit like wish fulfillment whenever I read this book, whenever I read the parts about Dante's parents, because like you said, they're so supportive and they're so kind, and they really respect Ari as not just Dante's best friend, but also as a potential romantic partner later down the line.
What did you two think? This is a weirdly specific question, but what did you two think of how do I phrase this? Kind of the dynamic where towards the end, everyone in the book was kind of pushing Ari to come to terms with his feelings, if that makes sense. If you there was a couple times in the hospital or out and about in life where Ari's parents and Dante's parents kind of hinted yeah, Dante loves you, and maybe you do too. If that makes sense.
I will
admit, on that.
In my opinion, I never really liked those parts of the book, mainly because I'm just like I said, I've never met parents like this before. So I'm just it's very interesting that you guys are really pushing for your kids to be in a relationship or open up about their feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, it's again, at the end of the day, I don't read books for realistic things. I read them for a little bit of wish fulfillment. So yeah, it never really made sense to me, but I enjoyed them.
Mm-hmm. Kira, are you gonna say something?
Well, I'm going off what Andy said because I was kind of conflicted about this. Given what we know about who Aristotle is as a person, let's look at the swimming pool for a second. He was not going to swim, but somebody had to come along and kind of not really push him, but kind of coerce him into learning how to swim, and then after he learned how to swim, he liked it. So I don't know, like I feel like maybe he needed that extra push, like to kind of, you know, like understand like that maybe this is the direction like that was right for him. And I feel like sometimes maybe the people around him might know like him better than he knows himself, because he's very disconnected from his emotions in a lot of different areas. So I felt very conflicted about this, because yeah, like it's not really okay like to push somebody like into, you know, like admitting these things, but at the same time maybe he needed that extra push.
That's really well said.
Yeah.
The first few times I read it, I actually really liked that characters were doing that, because I was like, yeah, they're supportive, they want him to recognize it. And then the last time I read it, I was kind of like, what if the kid's not ready? Like, if he's not ready, he's not ready. Y'all need to. I would be mortified if I had a parent go up to me like, I know you love so-and-so, just let us know. We know you do. But also, as someone who really relates to Aristotle, sometimes I feel like many things in life I wouldn't do if I didn't have people to push me. So yeah, I really agree with what Kira said.
Rad.
What do we think about Dante as a friend and love interest?
He is the manic pixie dream boy of like that I've been searching for my entire life in media, basically. I've had enough of manic pixie dream girls. I'm done with Ramona Flowers. I'm done with Margot from Paper Towns. I'm sick of it. I want more characters like Dante written by different people, please.
Dante's amazing.
Yeah.
I like oh, go, sorry. I think you're lagging, so I can't tell when you talk, so go ahead.
Well, I liked how I felt like Dante had a balance to him. I felt like he was both intellectual and emotionally connected to himself. So like he was exploring like his intellectual, like, you know, like feelings, like his mind, like through reading and stuff, but at the same time he was exploring his heart and his feelings through Aristotle.
Part of me really wanted Dante to get more mad at Ari, because I feel like Aristotle wasn't very nice to him, probably because he was going through a lot and, you know, he was conflicted. And also I just, again, like I related to the way that Ari was kind of just seeing Dante grow up, and he kind of felt like stuck. Like when Dante goes to Chicago, which was fun, that's where I'm from, but you see Dante like growing up and experiencing things for the first time and telling Ari all excited, and Ari's at home like judgy and broody, which is me. But like if I was Dante, I'm not Dante, I'm Ari, but if I was Dante, I'd get mad at Ari for like never responding to my letters, or like being really short when I do respond, stuff like that. But I appreciate him not doing that, but also I feel like it was a little unrealistic.
Like I said, he's the manic pixie dream boy. He can be mad, but not too mad. You know? Like you said, Kira, I think that they really balance each other out very well, with like Dante's like almost unending optimism versus like Ari's like world weary pessimism, as well as just like how like regimented the two of them are, because like you would think that Dante would be the one who is a little bit more like loosey-goosey, like goes with the flow, but in reality he is pretty like, when they make the game with the shoes, he's like, no, we have to do it like this, there has to be rules, whereas Ari is the one who is more like, yeah, it's whatever, I guess.
I guess I've never thought of it this way, but I guess they're literally the sunshine and grumpy trope.
They are. They are.
Which is my absolute favorite. Just so good.
Typical. Predictable. I'm kidding.
Oh my gosh, I hope no one can hear my stomach growling. That'd be really embarrassing. It's still going at it. I kind of feel like Ari and Dante and maybe the parents are like the only characters in this book. I know there are other characters, like the friends and everything, but they have left my brain. They are not in there.
Yeah. The Ari's other friends / classmates just kind of exist to be background dressing, unfortunately.
Yeah. I don't mind that, really, because I don't care about them.
I'm trying to remember like what those two girls' names were. I can't, like, the Aristotle's friends. But I kind of liked them because, like, they were almost like a mirror to him, like, opening up like a little bit more. The closer he got to Dante, like right at the beginning of the book. So I really kind of liked like the progression, like of his friendships getting better as his like heart and his mind got better.
Mm-hmm.
So
agreed. Speaking of that, you know what line I haven't stopped thinking about since I read this like 6 or 7 years ago? That part where Dante, I think it was in a letter. I don't remember exactly, but he's talking about kissing his girlfriend. I think they were dating, and she says like, I think you're kissing someone else. Like, I've not stopped thinking about that. I love that. I mean, not love that he's dating people he doesn't like, but I just thought that was really interesting.
It's a good line. It is a good line.
There's just a lot of good lines in here. Like,
yep.
I feel like this is written in a way that the author wanted every line to be a line, capital T, capital L. Like, because I've read, I think, one other of his book. That sounds weird in English, but it wasn't exactly like this. I didn't like it as much. But this book, you can tell he was like, I want to make something poetic.
The thing is, it feels almost like he's trying too hard, but also not. Because I've read books where like you could tell the author was like, this is gonna be a hit. This is gonna be a hit, you guys. This line right here is gonna win me a Nobel Peace Prize, or like, you know, a Pulitzer, or whatever the hell they give out for book awards. And while some lines in this book read like that TM, a lot of the ones that end up being the best lines don't. Does that make sense? Because there's some lines that you're like, oh yeah, that's definitely like bait. That's definitely what is it? Bookstagram quote bait. Like,
Andy's coming for you all.
Coming for these books. Coming for these lines. Like,
I'm trying to find one.
I have one right here. I wonder if all boys had that darkness inside them. Sir, what the fuck does that mean?
You know, actually, speaking of that line, I feel like one of the core themes of this book is like boyhood, like being a man, because there's so many lines like, you know, we've all heard of not like other girls. This is not like other boys.
Ari is not like these boys. He is not like other boys. It's
funny because like they're saying all these things about specifically being a boy, and all of those lines, I'm like, yeah, I relate to that. I get mistaken for a man all the time at work. I get called gentleman and sir all the time, but I do not identify as a man. But I gotta admit, after reading this book, apparently the author thinks I am a boy because related to it a lot.
It kind of reminds me of that TikTok sound that's like, I'm a man, I want to go to war. Like, that's what like some of these lines do make me feel like that. Little lightsaber, war.
I need to work on all my stories just for the purpose of Andy to roast me. You know, I see a lot of people on Twitter saying, oh, what a dream it would be to have Cindy from Cindy. Oh my gosh, why can't I remember her channel name?
With Cindy is her new channel.
Cindy. With Cindy to roast me, but we're replacing Cindy with Andy now. Move over, Cindy.
Listen, I love good Bookstagram caption quote bait. I love it. It's my bread and butter. I love looking at it and I love dissecting it. Like, I can tell you that the best thing I've ever read in my entire life from a book that I haven't even touched before is Fine, Make Me Your Villain. That I've seen that on Bookstagram so much. Love looking at it. So yes.
What is that from?
It's from Shadow and Bone.
Oh, really?
Sure.
Oh.
But yes, please give me your bait. I love it.
I feel like a lot of these quotes, if you're going through it, if you're in the moment, if you need it, artwork, masterpieces. If you don't, so cringy and embarrassing. That goes for a lot of book quotes. Goes for anything. Books, music.
I think it also goes for like there's the fact that we're reading a lot of older books. Like a lot of them are cringe.
Oh yeah. And that's why we love them.
And that's why we love them. Oh god. I miss my cringe phase. I'm glad I'm reverting back to it.
You got out of your cringe phase? Lucky.
Briefly.
I didn't.
Briefly.
I've seen a lot of things, memes. Can I say? I sound like a boomer. I've seen a lot of things on the internet about people saying like the only thing I've done during the pandemic is like revert back to my interests from when I was 12 years old, and that's literally me. Like I literally joined BookTube and Book Twitter again during the pandemic, and the first time I had Book Twitter, I was 12, and like I quit, and now here I am again, back at it, listening to the angsty 2000 music, and reading like 2010 YA books, but and that's the life, folks.
Do you guys have a favorite part? Or at least favorite part?
Yes. I have many favorite parts.
Very descriptive, thank you.
Let me find one. So, I have so many favorite parts that I can't remember any of them. Of course. How about you, Andy, while I'm skimming?
Oh, wait, no, I was asking you guys so I had time to look at it. Ugh. I liked reading Dante's letters.
I was just about to say that. I'm on with letters.
There's a line in one of them that's like, I won't tell you I miss you anymore. That always broke my heart whenever I read it. I was like, ooh, got him. Get his ass. Like,
there's a specific part in this book, like 3/4 of the way through, that always makes me like start to tear up, but I can't remember what it is. It just like always hits me out of nowhere. Like I forget it's there, and then I read it, and I'm like, oh, okay. But I don't know where it is. So that's awkward. That was really descriptive. I love all the really awkward bits. I don't like experiencing awkward things in real life, of course, but I just I like when the characters feel awkward. That sounds so weird, but like when Ari is reading Dante's letters and like Dante is describing his newfound experiences and joys in life, and Ari's just like, oh, you can't talk about that. I love scenes like that. Or like, this is gonna sound so weird when I'm saying it. I love the scene where like Ari's mom is bathing him. Like it's just so like I like the vulnerable scenes. That sounds so weird out of context, but yeah.
I find that very interesting that you like the cringe scenes because
I hate that I like those. I really do though.
Like, a lot of people get like secondhand embarrassment, like I do. I'm like, stop it!
I only
let the book walk away for an hour.
I don't know what that says about me. Please do not.
I'm gonna read into it.
Deeply about it.
I'm gonna read into it.
Please don't. I don't want to know what it means.
I'll find out.
I like to be embarrassed. We're getting into weird territory. But like I don't know if you guys have seen these shows, but like Love, Victor, the second season, or Sex Education, there's so much secondhand embarrassment. I just love I love secondhand embarrassment, but yeah, I just like the awkward moments about growing up and everything.
Nope. I just fast forward 2 times speed it just to get through.
Oh, I feel this one too. There's a line. I didn't like 11, I didn't like 12, I didn't like 13. I like 14, I like 15, like 16, like 17 or 18 or 19. But yeah, pretty much.
I think the only age that Ari ended up liking was like 10 or 8. He was like, yeah, 10 was okay.
That too. I think 11 was the age I started not liking aging. Oh, sorry, this is totally unrelated to our show. If you don't like secondhand embarrassment, do not watch season 2 of Love, Victor. I'm just going to say that right now. I usually like the secondhand embarrassment scenes. There were so many scenes I actually had to stop, pause the show, and leave the room because it was so bad. Not like the show itself, but like the secondhand embarrassment. And they do a great job of just giving you all the details that would make you feel embarrassed. Like, it's going to get so much worse. There's like a very specific scene that is particularly terrible with secondhand embarrassment. Maury also didn't like the audiobook. Yeah.
Oof. Oof.
You know, I feel like for a lot of people this book is like relatable, and I also feel like that's kind of the reason why people either love it or hate it. Like, I like books that remind me of my unliked childhood.
Oh my god.
I feel like it gives some people hope. Some people, as in, I'm specifically talking about me. But I like books that I can relate to and then see a different ending for.
I don't want to project because it could just be me, but I find that a lot of queer people do like coming of age stuff because we didn't get to, like, some of us didn't get to have those experiences, like prom and, you know, like going to the dance with our crush or like dating in high school. At least that's how I feel.
Yeah.
I had a terrible time in high school.
Oh, me too.
So when I read shit like this or like You Should See Me in a Crown and stuff like that, I'm like, oh my god, vicariously living these fundamental childhood experiences.
You feel me? I see a lot of people say, like, I don't read young adults contemporary fiction because I don't want to read about being in high school. Like, I didn't like high school. And like, that's why I love reading about it. I hate high school. I'm probably sound like I work with a lot of teenagers. And again, I was only in high school a couple years ago, but I must sound like the grumpy old lady all the time because I'll just be at work, right? I'm like, I hated high school. I remember the day when I was in high school. Or like they were going to prom like a month ago, and I was like, I remember prom. Like, but I just like books where I can read about those experiences and relate to the characters, but things went differently.
Yeah, just love me some contemporary YA because I need to relive these fundamental high school experiences that I never got.
Stop, I wasn't here to, I didn't invite you on my show to remind me of the reason why I read. I'm gonna kick you off here if you make me cry. Kidding.
Let's see, what else do I like about this? Yeah, a lot of good lines. Last time I read this was for the Latinx Readathon last September into October, and I made it a challenge to highlight in this book because I never highlight. I don't like writing or highlighting or marking up my books because I paid money for these. Why do I want to, in my brain, destroy? Other people can do whatever the heck they want with their books. That's fine, whatever. I don't care. That's your life. It's your book. You paid money for that. But my books, I can never do such a thing. So I made it a point to highlight my favorite lines.
I like to buy used books so that way I don't feel bad about destroying them. And then Kira, were you gonna say something?
Yeah, I was like looking because I read it on Kindle, so like I'm like looking through like all the quotes like that I highlighted, and there was a lot. There's like 48 quotes I highlighted.
Heck yeah.
And I was like looking at like this like one, and it said, "We stood silently around Dante's telescope in the middle of the desert as we waited for our turn to see all the contents of the sky. When I looked through the telescope, Dante began explaining what I was looking at. I didn't hear a word. Something happened inside of me as I looked out into the vast universe. Though that through that telescope, the world was closer and larger than I'd ever imagined. And it was all so beautiful and overwhelming. And I don't know, it made me aware that there was something inside me that mattered."
I love that. There you go. There's your little brief universe and sky star.
Yep. There was a few of them, and I highlighted every one of them.
Yeah.
I love scenes like
Philosophy.
that. I found a quote that I really love. This live shows Elise accidentally reveals she's a terrible person. No, I'm kidding. Well, I do feel like in my videos I'm very like golden retriever, and in real life I'm very chihuahua. But I definitely have that tweet saved in my drafts from a couple months ago. But one quote I really love is, Dante had this look on his face. He looked like an angel, and all I wanted to do was put my fist through his jaw. I couldn't stand my own cruelty. Sorry, not to say that like I relate to that, but I relate to that. Look at Andy like, I'm leaving this. But I don't know. I just love all the quotes where like Ari realizes he is like acting out, and like doesn't like that he's acting out, but he is anyways. I just feel like I was a really angry kid in middle school, in high school, but like I knew I was a really angry kid and I hated myself for that. But like I was anyways. I don't know. I just love all those quotes.
I was gonna say, why do we punish kids for having feelings?
No.
They're allowed to have feelings.
Yeah, agreed.
I literally just like opened it up to that section.
Okay, but you highlighted it.
Yeah, I highlighted it. I didn't say I liked
You're
it.
making faces. But yeah, like one of my biggest things that I always say, I feel like it might have been you, Kira, who was tweeting something like this. I don't know. I read a million tweets every day, but like one thing I always think about is I just hate, especially with teenage girls or like preteen girls. There we go. There's this like stereotype of, you know, the whole like moody preteen slash teen girl, you know, acting out and being like a total drama queen. And while that, you know, there's some truth to that, I feel like for a lot of kids, that's just an influx of like weird hormones and like mental health not being great. And I feel like just a lot of things would have gone much better in a lot of kids' lives if instead of just writing it off as moody teenage slash preteen behavior, and instead giving them help and like respecting those feelings, just life would be very different.
I think I remember like that tweet you're talking about. It was like the one like where I said like that we teach kids about mental health, but we don't teach them how to apply it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Which I think is like a big thing.
Mm-hmm.
So
like I know in school, like I had talks like this, like people will go through depression and stuff like that, but it's also taught, or at least in my experience, it was taught in a way where it was like an educational school thing, like take notes, listen to this, but it was never applied to real life and not like put in the way or like phrased in a way like, yeah, this is common. You could be experiencing that. It was more like, yes, the untouchable depression that definitely exists, but not here.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting because when I was in school, we learned more about how to almost like identify like depression and like suicidal ideation in other people, but they never talked about like self like identification. And that I feel like one, Aaron needs to go to therapy. Like my boy needs to work out those daddy issues, and those anger issues. But it's very interesting to find a male protagonist who has these issues and recognizes that, but just doesn't have the tool set to properly deal with it. And so he kind of like turns it all kind of almost inward, and you know, obviously, you know, there's just so much pressure before he explodes outward. But yeah, I think like as you were saying, like we could really benefit from applying these things to self as opposed to just like, yeah, take some notes. It's gonna be on the health test next week.
Yeah. This is too personal. I'm gonna kick you all off my channel. Just kidding. One thing I used to always think about when I was in high school, because we had so many of those like anti-bullying campaigns, like what to do if you're being bullied. Here's how you can bring it up if you're being bullied. And not that I was a bullied person, or not that I was a bully. I was the kid who sat in the corner. I literally sat at a lunch table that faced the wall. Okay, like whatever. This didn't apply to me, but I was talking about like, what if you're the bully? What if you need help? Because it was always framed in like the victim's light. Like here's how you can get help, but for a lot of people who bully, I feel like they need help. And I think in this book, Ari was definitely kind of a bully in a way. He was not always the nicest person to Dante, and like he would act out all the time. He says in this book that he liked to get into fights or whatever. Like maybe he was not, you know, the classic bully, but he was not the nicest person. He was not always the victim, but he needed help, clearly.
I feel like most characters would benefit from therapy.
Ari
is like number one on the list.
Everyone.
Oh, wait, in the chat, someone said, do you know everyone thinks they're Dumbo thing? Yeah, I have heard about that. It would be like, you know, the one that I've heard the most is parents who watch Tangled with their kids, like abusive parents watching Tangled with their kids, and their kids thinking that they would see the abuse that Gothel had for Rapunzel and like like kind of punish the kids for like being like, why'd you take me to see that movie? But the parents would be like, oh my God, Gothel was such a terrible character. I'm so glad that Rapunzel was able to get away, not being able to recognize that in the situation, the parent is Gothel and their kid is Rapunzel. And yeah, I've seen the Dumbo thing is what I'm trying to say.
I'm going to admit right now, I haven't seen Dumbo.
You've never seen Dumbo?
I was waiting for. That's why I said it quietly.
Oh God! Basically, it's a bullied elephant, and so when kids go to see it, everyone cries when the elephant gets bullied, including the bully, like the school bullies. So they all identify with the bullied and never the bully.
Yeah, that's so true.
Well, there's like a rule of thumb. Like, I've been spending like way too much on mental health TikTok, by the way. But narcissists never think that they're the narcissist, and bullies never think that they are the bullies.
Yep.
So, yeah, they always victimize themselves without realizing that they might be turning somebody else into the victim.
Yeah.
Yep. That's unfortunate.
Good point. Lindsay, I feel like this will get you a reaction, but I have seen the live action Dumbo, and that's it.
I haven't
seen the live action Dumbo, so
it was weird.
I actually like that one.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I know Danny DeVito's in it. That's all I know.
I've brought this up multiple times, I think on Twitter. I might have brought this up in a live show, but I will never, ever forget. For the first college I went to before I transferred, there was a person in my, this has nothing to do with Aristotle and Dante, in my Intro to Women and Gender Studies class that had Danny DeVito's face tattooed on their thigh. And I will never, ever forget that. I just get random flashbacks. Imagine having Danny DeVito's face.
We had a Danny DeVito shrine in our freshman dorm, one of our freshman dorm buildings.
Maybe you should get a Danny DeVito thigh tattoo.
I should.
Any other points you all want to bring up? What? Wait, wrong one. Yeah. Thank you. That was the reaction I was waiting for. It was the strangest thing. And I felt bad just staring at someone's thigh like that. But I was staring at Danny DeVito's face, you know? Like
staring into those beautiful eyes. Little tufts of hair. Small round face.
There's like another like little extra like quote here. I have two. One of them was, birds exist to teach us things about the sky. You believe that, yes? And then like I guess like a little like ways down, it says, Dante's answer made sense to me. We study birds, maybe we could learn to be free. I think that's what he was saying.
Oh, I love that. I really loved the bird, like the very subtle bird imagery in here. Like, you know, with Dante rescuing the bird, and that's why Ari got hit by the car, and like all the broken wings and all that. Yeah. I love easy to understand metaphors. Anything that's not easy, my brain won't pick up on. But
the bird represents how they want to be free. Ah! I'm big stupid. I need very easy to digest metaphors and similes and shit like that. Symbolism.
Yeah, when it came to symbolism and metaphors and all that in the books, like the classic books we'd read in school, not for me. Stuff like this, just like bird fly, bird is free. I can do that one and I'll appreciate it.
Yeah, no, I just make stuff up in that class and be like, yeah, this represents that. And they'd be like, yeah, that checks out.
Mm-hmm. Let's see. Anyone has anything in our last 5 minutes? I never prepare for live shows.
I also never really prepare for live. That's a lie. I prepare for some of my other live shows. I just wasn't prepared today.
I also find it fun. Like the quotes I really liked when I was a kid are the ones that I think are not the greatest now. Like I remember putting this in like my original review when I read it when I was younger. But the worst part, I lost the quote. Oh, but the worst part was that those words were living inside me and they were leaking out of me. Words were not things you could control, not always. Like that was my favorite quote when I was a kid. It's not my favorite anymore at all. I don't like it that much. I don't like the imagery of like leaking. Like, solid. That's a quote from me now.
I don't like imagery of leaking. Cool.
Kind of like how some people don't like the word moist.
Oh.
I can't believe in this same live show I've said I like to be embarrassed and I don't like imagery of leaking. Moving along. Metaphors that require mental gymnastics can get out of here. Agreed.
Listen, I don't think they need to get out of here because there are people who get them and they deserve to have metaphors that they have to think, like they want to think for them, and that's fine. That's beautiful for them, and I love that for them. Me, on the other hand, I'm stupid. I need things to be spoon-fed to me because the American education system has failed me time and time again.
You know, I always think it's funny when I was going to say when you admit, because for me, I feel like it's admitting, but when you somehow in a conversation say that you like to read, and people like assume, oh, you're so smart, you read like these books, you must love classics, blah, blah. I'm like, no. I read young adults mainly because it's easy to read. Like, that is the main reason.
I read fantasy novels because I don't need to understand real world politics.
That's why I don't like fantasy, because like it takes brain power for me to, you know, picture the world and understand it. I mainly just read contemporary young adult fiction because I'm like, I know this world, I can do this. Fantasy, you start telling me about magic systems and everything, you lost me.
But okay, all right.
That's an unpopular opinion. I'm very aware, but
I'll get you to read a good fantasy novel one day, at least. One day I'll get you.
I'm about to read Legendborn, so I'm hoping that
Hell
will
yeah!
convert me.
I hope so. It's such a good book.
Kira, do you have any favorite genres?
I mean, I try to read like a little bit of everything because
Yeah,
I've
seen you read like everything.
I really try to like to read more nonfiction because I have so much like nonfiction like that I want to get to, like once again like star type stuff and like psychology type stuff and all that. But then I also really like romance. Like it really depends like my mood. Like if I'm sad, I'll pad my sadness with a romance to make me feel better.
Mm-hmm.
And then sometimes I just like want to escape into a fantasy book. Like it really depends. Like I don't know, like it's just whatever I'm in the mood for. So
yeah, that's awesome. I feel like the ability to like other genres is such a great thing because you know there will be people who are like, I only read classics. I only read, you know, bestsellers.
That's my
Stuff
uncle.
like that. Or like my brother, I only read philosophy, stuff like that. But I just went to a used bookstore and I got a children's book I read when I was 10, a psychology book on codependency, an adult historical fiction, like a mystery. Like that's always fun when you can just read whatever.
Yeah. God, I wish that were me. No, I just read novels. You can't see my little TBR card full of fantasy novels.
And you got any recommendations for fantasy you want to throw out in the last?
Whoa! Well, you're already reading Legendborn. That was my favorite read of 2020. One of the best books I ever read. Yeah, I hope you enjoy it. Oh God, let me see what else. I read Priory of the Orange Tree. I had a good time with that one.
I like to buy fantasy and not read it.
Priory's a thick boy.
That's thick.
You would not like it. I'm calling it.
I own it. Don't say that. I don't think I like it either.
It's dense political intrigue and dragons and world building.
Bye. Have a good night. Sorry, I know it's late over there. Yeah. Sorry, I interrupted you.
It is dense. So, it literally everything you said you didn't like about fantasy is in there. It's good. Yeah. I loved it. I gave it 5 stars.
I was one of the people that gave it 4 stars because the first 150 pages for me like was a character and like plot like bomb.
Yeah.
Like it was so ridiculously dense, and so like when is this going to pick up? Like what? Like should I continue to invest more time? But after I got over the 150 pages, like I devoured it.
Yep.
It was so good. Like there's so much. I love mythology. Like even like when I was like younger, like I was always like a huge fan of like mythology and everything else. And I feel like that they create like this whole mythology for this world. They just go like really in depth like with it. And it's all like interlinked, and it's just so incredible like to see like how it like all comes to fruition like at the end. So yeah, like I ended up really enjoying it like after I got through the first 150 pages of it.
Yeah,
that's another thing that I'm like, because are you talking? I can't tell. You're like lagging.
I was, but keep going.
Oh, go ahead.
It's unimportant. It's unimportant.
Go ahead. Anyways, everything.
I was just gonna say everything you don't like about fantasy. That's it, and 800 pages long.
Well, that's the other thing I was gonna say. I love young adult contemporary fiction because I like that it's easy to read, it's fast, it's relatable, it's in a world I'm familiar with, and I only like it when it's short. Anything that gets into the 400-page territory, there's a good chance I'm not going to finish it. Which is funny because I'll read like, 100, 200 books every year, but I just prefer if they're shorter because I like my attention span cannot last for 800 pages, but I own it. So prior to the Orange Crayon. So someday, hopefully. Anyways, it has been an hour. Does anyone have any concluding thoughts? I don't know why I like to always put the books on my head when I do live shows.
It's very cute.
Thank you. Little hat. I know.
Book good, controversy valid. I say controversy. Yeah.
Very true.
Concerns incredibly valid. Probably 50-50 shot as to whether or not I read the sequel.
I'm gonna start writing my reviews like that. Thank you.
Just bullet points.
Anyway, that was our show for hold on. Aristotle and Dante Discover the Secrets of the Universe. Thank you, Andy and Kira, for joining me. I appreciate that. If anyone would like to join us for our next book for this month, what is the month? July. Yeah. We are reading, and I know I'm about to say this title.
Miss Peregrines. Peregrines.
I don't know what it is. Miss. Well, I've been saying Miss Parrot. I don't know. Well, I've heard
bird
home for peculiar children. But yeah, if you all are interested, it'll be on the Twitter, and we have a Discord now, so you should join us. And I can look at messages. But yeah, thank you for joining, everyone. Appreciate it. Bye-bye.
Bye.